Yeah,
Okay.
great. So yeah, let me get started. Hello and welcome everyone to the Aavegotchi intro workshop titled Building On-Chain Aavegotchi. Joining us today is Nick and Coder Dan, who will be taking us through this session. One quick reminder to ensure you have all joined or created a project. We have already prompted check-in one in your cohorts. If you're having any trouble with that, please reach out to me or anyone else on the ETHGlobal team. And with that, I'll pass it over to Nick and Coder Dan to introduce themselves and get the session started.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. I'm Coder Daniel, and the founder, CEO of Pixelcraft, which is the lead developer of Aavegotchi. And with us today, we also have Nick Mudge, who is the lead Solidity dev and the mastermind behind many of the contracts that Aavegotchi is using. So I guess this will be a pretty, we'll do probably about 30 minutes of kind of going through top high level of what Aavegotchi is, and actually be taking you guys through some of the code, giving you some pointers on how you can use the Aavegotchi contracts in your hack. And then we have plenty of time for any questions. I'd love to hear what you guys are interested in hacking on with Aavegotchi. If anyone has some ideas, would definitely, I'll be checking the chat here, and excited to see what you guys are planning to build on Aavegotchi. And yeah, Nick, would you like to add anything before we get started? You're muted, by the way.
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm looking here, trying to find the chat here. There it is. All right, so yeah. Hello, everyone, and let us get started. I'll start by sharing my screen here. So, exploring the Gotchiverse. Playing and exploring with on-chain Aavegotchis. You see here on the right side already, we have this crazy looking piece of pixel art, and that is an Aavegotchi. You see you have the body underneath, and then you have a wearable, a DAO egg, a little wizard hat, some cool sunglasses, and a beard. And as we'll be talking about in this talk, these are all part of the Aavegotchi. They're all totally on-chain. All this art is stored in the blockchain and is part of the Aavegotchi, and actually gives the Aavegotchi different traits. So let us kind of start exploring that now. What are Aavegotchis? They are kind of if you tried to summarize them in a kind of a tagline for what Aavegotchis are, they're really at their core, they are these DeFi staked avatars that are playable and that kind of live on the blockchain. Originally, we were going to be launching on the Ethereum blockchain, but we had to really kind of change our plans because fees were getting so high on Ethereum. And we've actually decided to launch first on Matic. Matic is a layer 2 solution. It has a proof of stake bridge directly linked over to Ethereum. So really easy to move all of your assets to Matic to play the game. And we're actually doing a community migration right now. It's literally happening as we speak. Really exciting time to be in the NFT space. There's so much innovation happening. Last year was a huge explosion for NFTs, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger this year. And a lot of that value really can't sustainably live on Ethereum mainnet because the fees are just too high. So especially for our idea, which is kind of taking this idea of a Tamagotchi, which a lot of if there's like if there's millennials or maybe some older like Gen Zs or some Gen Xs in the room, you guys would know what a Tamagotchi is. Tamagotchi was like like one of the first digital pets that were ever created, huge in the 90s, and probably I know people still kind of have them today, but it was kind of the first introduction to this idea of like playing with a little digital pet. So we've taken that idea of a Tamagotchi, of this like interactive, playable digital pet, and we have taken Aava, which is like the leading DeFi protocol, and we've taken their A tokens, which are interest bearing, we've stuck them inside the gotchi, and thus we have created the Aavegotchi, which is basically it's a 100% on-chain, DeFi staked, playable NFT avatar. And as you can see on the side here, they're extremely customizable. There's so much you can do with them, and yeah, we're really excited to continue our journey and kind of help you guys understand what you can do with this new technology. So, what are the traits of an Aavegotchi? The most important ones are, here we have energy, aggression, spookiness, and brain size. Those are the 4 core traits of an Aavegotchi. There's actually 2 more I did not mention here, which is the eyes. You can't actually see them behind these sunglasses, but Aavegotchis also have unique eye shapes as well. So when an Aavegotchi is born, or when it is summoned from a portal, and real quick, I'll explain what a portal is. A portal is kind of like a pack of cards. When you purchase an Aavegotchi, you don't just purchase it directly like a typical NFT. You get a portal, and when you open that portal, we're actually using a very innovative technology that's been pioneered by Chainlink, called Chainlink Verifiable Random Function, the VRF function. And basically, it's a fancy way of saying it's a provably random number generator on the blockchain. And if you guys are familiar with like the issues with randomization on the blockchain, you'll know that VRF is a cool solution to that, and it's kind of one of the building blocks that we're using in Aavegotchi. So when you open a portal, you've bought your portal. Each portal costs currently 100 Ghost, which is like the eco governance token of Aavegotchi, this little thing right here. So you buy a portal, you open it, and there's 10 Aavegotchis inside. And what you do is you look through them and figure out which one you want. Each of them have different attributes that have been generated by this Chainlink VRF. So they have the different energy levels, aggression levels, spookiness, and brain size, as well as eye color and eye size. And based on the values from 0 to 100 of each of those traits, that will determine your Aavegotchi's rarity score. So really, you see it ranges from 0 to 100. Actually, 0 and 100 are the rarest. That's actually, it's good to be in the extremes. That actually determines your rarity score. So the max rarity that you could get from an Aavegotchi coming out of a portal would be about 600. And the minimum would be 300. That would be basically if you had 50 for each trait, which would be a totally average Aavegotchi. It would be so average that it might actually be rare. So those are the 6 main traits of an Aavegotchi, and then those kind of define its rarity within our ecosystem. Then you have something called kinship, which it's basically, it harkens back to this idea of the Aavegotchi being a playable, interactive NFT avatar for you. So you actually need to take care of your Aavegotchi. You can't just buy it like you would a typical NFT and it just sits in your wallet all day. You actually need to interact with it. You need to pet it, or you need to equip wearables onto it, or you need to feed it little potions and consumables. So every time you have an interaction with your Aavegotchi, kinship is going to go up by 1, and you can do 2 interactions every 24 hours. So basically 1 interaction per 12 hours. But if you don't interact with it for 24 hours, kinship will actually start going down. So you can imagine if you neglect it for like a month, your kinship's going to be pretty low. And the minimum that it can go is 0, but there's actually no maximum. You could have a huge streak every day where you're playing with your Aavegotchi, and if you play with it for a whole year, you'd be in the solid 400s at that point, and maybe higher depending on some other things, ways that you can interact with it. So that's kinship, and it's very important for kind of defining the owner's relationship with their Aavegotchi. And then the third and main kind of trait is experience, which also leads into levels. And experience starts at 0. And as you interact with your Aavegotchi, as you play with it, as you interact with our ecosystem, your Aavegotchi's experience level will actually go up. So a great example of this, we just had a big DAO vote for our community, and everyone who voted in the DAO, for each vote, there were 2 votes. Each vote, all of their future Aavegotchis are going to be rewarded with 250 experience per vote. So a total of 500 votes for all of their Aavegotchis that they basically buy and then claim from these portals. So a very big, actually a very significant airdrop of XP, and we're really doing that. We want to kind of kickstart the ecosystem and have people's Aavegotchis leveling up immediately when they come out. So experience is really cool because what it does is that as your Aavegotchi levels up, every 3 levels, you will be able to earn a skill point, which then you can use to increase the trait of your Aavegotchi, the energy, aggression, spookiness, or brain size. So even if you don't have the rarest Aavegotchi when you first open the portal and summon it, you can increase the rarity by actually leveling your Aavegotchi up, and you have 33 skill points that you can use to increase the rarity of your Aavegotchi. We didn't really put it in this slide because it's not really developer related, but the reason you want to increase the rarity of your Aavegotchi is because we have this thing called rarity farming, which is kind of like yield farming, except you're basically trying to compete against other players to have the rarest Aavegotchis. So we have actually some very significant rewards that we're going to be giving out starting when Aavegotchi launches on Matic. It's going to be about 400,000 ghost plus some additional rewards. So about it's going to be definitely in the $250,000 to $300,000 range for the rarest Aavegotchis. It's actually very significant. So even if you don't build on Aavegotchi, maybe you can get some portals and play our meta game as well. We'll also have leaderboards for kinship and experience. They'll be lower, but also we'll have some rewards for those as well. So that's kind of why you would want to level your Aavegotchi up and have a rare Aavegotchi. And there's some other ways as well that we'll talk about to increase the rarity of your Aavegotchi. And the main way is actually looking at this Aavegotchi here. It's got a bunch of cool wearables equipped on it, which actually also increase its rarity score. So kind of a summary, this is like how I like to explain it. Aavegotchis are Tamagotchis for the crypto native generation. You know, it's our hope that 30 years from now, people will look back and be like, you guys remember, I still have this like cool Aavegotchi that I had from like 2020, 2021, and it's like still in my wallet. You know, I got to find my private key. If I didn't lose it, I'm going to open this thing up, and they'll still have this like memorabilia piece, this NFT collectible that they played with when they were younger, and they can like give it to their kids in the future. So it's going to be really cool, a digital kind of digital artifact of our time. So I think it'll be really neat. Anyway, let's get into how to hack on Aavegotchi, which is why you guys are here. And we're going to get into some code here and show you kind of how our smart contracts work. So I'll give it over to Mr. Nick Mudge here, the Solidity lead of Aavegotchi. And yeah, and I'll jump in if there's anything we need to go in more depth.
Okay, good. So, and Dan, are you going to control the slides here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So, all right. So there's the contracts URL. One of the things is that the Aavegotchi is implemented using a diamond, and a diamond is really a pattern of organizing a number of contracts to implement a system. And so
here it is.
Oh,
here's
yeah,
the diamond.
here we go. There's a standard, so there's a pattern, and then there's a standard that standardizes how you do it. It's useful for like integrating tools and things with the pattern, and having a standard way to do it. And so basically a diamond, if you're familiar with Solidity, well, you guys are developers, so you are. So you have one contract that has a fallback function, and essentially this one contract, which is the diamond, will execute its fallback function to utilize functions from other contracts. So it uses delegate call to use functions from other contracts that we call faucets. And so the Aavegotchi contract is we have a diamond and then we have a bunch of faucets, and those different faucets do implement different functionality. That way we have related functionality that's together. And that's how we organize a bunch of code by separating it into separate faucets. And so here we go. Dan has the list here of the different faucets. So functions for claiming, viewing, interacting, functions for increasing, decreasing the stake inside an Aavegotchi. And yeah, so these different ones.
Yeah, so I'll go back real quick here. So
yeah.
we can get started by kind of just looking at here. I'm more of a front end developer. You know, Nick and I have developed these together, but I do most of the front end currently. So very familiar with like implementing these contracts in a front end environment. So really, if you look at the contract here, you see I'm using Web3. You could also use Ethers if you want, but we have our ABI here, the Aavegotchi facet.abi, and then we have the Aavegotchi diamond address. And we can look at those real quick. So the Aavegotchi facet ABI, like Nick said, one diamond actually manages different facets, and it's actually a really cool pattern because there's typically in Ethereum, when you deploy a contract, there's like a max contract size, and a lot of people hit that limit when they're doing more complicated contracts, and there's ways to get around it, but the diamond standard is actually a really nice and elegant way to get around that, because if you run out of space in a facet, you just make another facet. So it's this is actually, I think Nick pioneered this because he was working on the ERC 998 composable standard, which is a very long contract, and we actually also implement that in Aavegotchi as well. So I think that was like the reason that you came up with that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Another aspect is you can have multiple contracts that just call each other, but like one of the problems you have with that is permissions authentication, where it can get tedious and complicated. Where okay, there's one contract and can be only called by this other contract, and then this other contract can only be called this other. You have to implement all this different authentication, and so it can get complicated. But with the diamond, you just have one contract, and all the faucets are connected to that one contract, and you have one authentication. Basically, the owner, it could be the owner of the diamond, and so you just have to authenticate one address, or you can implement any kind of authentication system on top. Maybe the address is from a DAO or some other thing, but the point is that you have one governing system that applies to the diamond and all the faucets, and so you don't have to implement authentication for each separate contract. So it helps it with that as well. But yeah, originally I worked on this diamond because I was running into the max contract size, and I needed the same functionality to come from the same address. And so
Yes, and that's exactly what you see here in this front end code. You get the ABI of your facet. In this case, it's the Aavegotchi facet. And then the Aavegotchi diamond address is the same address for all the facets. So no matter, we have a list of all the facets here. The Aavegotchi facet is in our contract. It's for claiming Aavegotchis, viewing them, interacting with them. Collateral facet, the DAO facet. The DAO facet is pretty cool because it contains all the functionality that is actually going to be like used with our Aavegotchi DAO, which is going to be actually managing and governing the contracts. Items facet is for the items that we have in our game, the wearables, consumables, badges. Badges are pretty neat. They're actually going to be, the idea behind badges is they're going to be non-transferable NFTs that kind of live with your Aavegotchi. So as to go back to the vote that we just had, all the Aavegotchis who participated in that vote are actually going to have badges as well. So when you trade your Aavegotchi in the future, Aavegotchis are NFTs, they're tradable. When you trade it, the future buyer of your Aavegotchi will be able to see the history. They'll be able to see that your Aavegotchi participated in this particular event. So it could give them a much higher collector's value in the future to know that this was like the Genesis Aavegotchi. It was there at the beginning in the first vote. The shop facets for purchasing items from the shop, and the SVG facet is for adding, viewing, and updating all the on-chain SVGs that we have. So just to go back to this code real quick, we have the ABI, and you can get all the ABIs. I think they're in our GitHub. If not, it's really easy to just compile our contracts locally. You can just use Hardhat. Hardhat, it's a library for streamlining the whole Solidity development process. And you'll get the ABI from that. You can just chuck it right in. So yeah, that's kind of the front end and how to use the diamond in the front end. And I guess real quick, do you guys have any questions related to that part before we get into the deep dive about the different functionality? See if there's any questions on the diamond or anything else about Aavegotchi. Looks like we're good right now, so we'll keep going. So digging in, how do we actually use these contracts? You're looking on GitHub and you see it and you're not really sure what you can do. Well, here are some common use cases that are going to be useful for a front-end developer or someone trying to create a little product around Aavegotchi. First of all, you're going to probably want to see how many Aavegotchis you have or a particular person has. So we do have a function for that, all Aavegotchis of owner. And this can be called directly from the smart contract. You don't need a subgraph or anything like that, although subgraphs are super cool. But we've actually designed our system in a way that you don't need to create a subgraph if you don't want to. And we are actually going to be working on one. The graph has not launched on Matic yet, so we don't really have a subgraph for it yet. But they are launching pretty soon, so we will be creating a subgraph. The contracts are ready to create a subgraph. We just haven't created one because Matic doesn't support. They haven't launched their hosted service on Matic yet. So anyway, if you want to return all the owner's Aavegotchis, you would call all Aavegotchis of owner. And this is going to give you all the info about the Aavegotchi. It's going to give you all the traits. It's going to give you the level. It's going to give you all the wearables that are equipped on the Aavegotchi, all the information you could need. It's going to be returned there. And the same goes for this method down here, get Aavegotchi. You can just feed it a token ID and it will give you one specific Aavegotchi. So this is good for like a drill down page where you're kind of showing more detailed information about one specific Aavegotchi. And then you can, this is a very, very important function here. This is actually what you can use to fetch the visual image of your Aavegotchi at any specific moment. Like once you equip a new wearable, you can hit this method again, and it will show you an updated SVG of the Aavegotchi. And the SVGs are very light. They're about, I think when I looked at it, it was probably about 8 to 10 kilobytes, depending on how many wearables you have equipped. So it's very, very light. And as we'll talk about in a second, there's a lot of interesting things that you can do as well with the SVGs. Nick, do you want to go over the interacting part?
Sure. So we have this interact function, and this, as you can see above here, says it increases kinship 1 every 12 hours. So interact is like this gets called by the Aavegotchi in the Aavegotchi diamond when you interact with your Aavegotchi. So like if you put on a wearable or if we have like a pet function. And this would be a good thing if people want to hack on Aavegotchi is is doing is calling this interact as well, so that this would be a reason for people to use your functionality because it interacts with Aavegotchi, which increases the kinship. And so I think Dan will talk about more the benefits of kinship, but kinship kind of shows how like happy your Aavegotchi is, and so that interact is a good function to use. And then below that we've got consumables. So consumables are these ERC 1155 items that your Aavegotchi consumes, and they get burned when they use them. So they're like one-time use, but then they help temporarily increase traits, or possibly do other things that help your Aavegotchi. And then we have equip wearables. So this is as you might, if you play with Aavegotchis have all these different wearables, like different hats and different shirt and different things that they can hold in their hand, wands, guns, and things like that. And so this function here allows you to put them on, put what wearables you want to have on. But wearables also affect your rarity score, your traits. So if you have like an Aavegotchi with some rare trait that's like 99 or 98 or very low, like 5 or 2 or something, and you can find a wearable that that adds more to that trait or subtracts that from that trait to make your Aavegotchi even more rare and boost your rarity score. So those are what those do. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good time to kind of go over the wearables. So there's 6 types of wearables. There's commons, uncommon, rare, legendary, mythical, and godlike. And each type adds a little bit of rarity score onto your Aavegotchi. I think common adds like +1, and then godlike adds +50. And godlikes are very, very rare. I think in existence, there's probably only like probably 30 or 40 of them right now. I don't have the exact number, but very, very few of them given the ratio. So godlikes are extremely powerful, and we've been doing some raffles in the last couple months to kind of distribute them in a fair way to our players, our early adopters. Actually, we've had some very interesting cases where people, very small players, were able to get these very, very powerful weapons and these powerful wearables. So it's a great case of fair distribution. And actually, I did want to go over real quick. If you're looking at the use consumables function, you'll see there's an only unlocked modifier. Mm-hmm. And you'd probably be wondering, like, what does it mean to be locked? Well, because Aavegotchis inherit from the ERC 998 composable standard, and they also manage their own A token collateral, those are two areas where there could be potential front running risks. So because if you go on to like a marketplace and you list your Aavegotchi, and then you set up a bot to basically front run and withdraw all the equipment from your Aavegotchi at the moment that someone else purchases it, that would be very bad. So we have this unlocked feature or locking feature that is optional, but we really highly recommend people to use it when they're putting their Aavegotchis up on the marketplace, because it kind of shows the potential buyers that this Aavegotchi cannot be modified. Its state is kind of locked. So when an Aavegotchi is locked, you can't use consumables on it. You can't take wearables from its inventory, and you can't level it up. There's a couple things you can't do. Basically, anything that would modify the state of the Aavegotchi in a negative way, you can't do. So like you can't change its name. Or I forgot to mention that each Aavegotchi has its own unique name. So if someone gets the name Vitalik for their Aavegotchi, that's actually going to be very rare, because only one Aavegotchi can have that name. It's unique. So you would not want someone to list an Aavegotchi named Vitalik and then change the name right before you buy it from them. So that's what the unlocked modifier does. It just shows that this method can only be called on an unlocked Aavegotchi. And then there's also the only Aavegotchi owner. Pretty straightforward. Just you have to be the owner to call that method on it. Same with we have as well only Aavegotchi owner on equip wearables. And you can actually equip the wearable, because equipping the wearable does not change. It changes the state of the Aavegotchi, but it doesn't remove it from the inventory. So even if an Aavegotchi is locked, you can still change its close, but you can't actually remove those NFTs from its inventory, because that would lower the value of the Aavegotchi. So that's the kind of the explanation, but behind the only unlocked and that. Okay, so that's any questions real quick on that section? We've covered a couple little use cases. Basically, that's the bare bones, like the methods that you would want to use as a developer. You'll want to get the Aavegotchi. You will want to kind of interact with it a little bit, equip some wearables, and then we kind of get into a more. This is actually a very interesting part of the development process, which is actually manipulating the SVG. So when you get an Aavegotchi, it looks basically like this. It doesn't have an animation, doesn't really have anything going on. It's just kind of static. And we may add some methods later in the contract that actually add some built-in animations, but currently we don't have any of those. It's kind of static like that. So as a front-end developer, you would probably want to add some cool animations. And the way that you would do that is by targeting the different classes within the SVG that we return. So we've basically, each section of the Aavegotchi has a class that you can override, or you can like set with a CSS style that allows it to do something. So I'm not sharing my screen right now, but on the homepage of Aavegotchi, when you look into a portal, the Aavegotchi is kind of hovering up and down. So the body is moving down and the shadow is moving up. So we're basically targeting the body, the body SVG, and then the shadow SVG, and we're setting an animation to make it do that little movement. And another example of a movement that we do is the wearables hands. When you pet your Aavegotchi, it makes it happy, right? So it kind of does a little hands up animation. And we're also actually switching out the eyes. We're getting rid of the eyes and replacing them with some other custom eyes that we have on the front end. So the Aavegotchi smiles at you, basically. And all that is possible by targeting each different class of the SVG that is returned. And even the wearables also have these classes, and the body and the sleeves are separate wearables. So the body is a wearable, and then the sleeves are also targeted separately. And that's because when the hands move up, the sleeves also need to move up with it. Otherwise, it would look really weird. So if you're modifying the body, you should also try to do include the sleeves in your animation as well. And if you guys are interested in that, we can publish some animations that we are using in our front end, and if that would make things help more smoother for developers, that's something I've been thinking of doing, just haven't done yet. But feel free to reach out to me, and I can help you with those animations. So really, that's kind of the end of the overview. There's a lot more, and our contracts are pretty well documented, and there's docs.aavegotchi.com has a lot of good resources as well. But I real quick just wanted to go over some hack ideas for things that we would be interested to see. Pretty soon, I think it's going to be probably the end of this quarter, next quarter, we're going to be launching the Aavegotchi realm. which is a metaverse where you can walk around with your Aavegotchi. And we're going to have like side views of the Aavegotchis. They're going to be able to interact with each other in real time. And we're working on that. So as you can see here, the side views of Aavegotchis are coming, and we've planned our whole library, our whole like contracts around this idea that Aavegotchis are going to be 360 viewable. So currently we can only view the front, but we are also working on the side views and the back views. So we would love to see some Aavegotchi skinned games. Anything that currently only requires a front view would be totally cool to see. So, get creative. Think of reskin some classic games that only have like front views and do something cool with the Aavegotchi SVG. It'd be really, really fun to see that. So another thing is like social with Aavegotchis is going to be very prominent. I have a feeling. In our community, we're going to be on Matic, and we're going to be using Discord, Telegram a lot. So any kind of bot that relates to the Aavegotchi and relates back to Discord or Telegram, we're super active in Discord. So we would love to see some bots that can interact with the Aavegotchi. Maybe they can give it experience. Maybe you can like push a reaction in Discord to equip a wearable on your Aavegotchi. Maybe it's just something like trading Aavegotchis back and forth. Any of that would be very interesting to see for us. And then finally, just another idea. The metaverse is big. We know that Aavegotchi is just one part of it. So we would love to see Aavegotchis somehow rendered into other metaverses. You could take the traits of the Aavegotchi and the kind of the visual aspect of it and render it onto an avatar in Decentraland or one of the other metaverses. So there's a couple more ideas as well on our Medium, but here are the main kind of three that I figured I would highlight. So that's kind of the overview, and happy to take any questions. You guys can see we have an amazing wiki. I'll give you a little preview of the wiki real quick while we're here. The wiki is totally community built. I kind of made the front end design for it, but basically I would say 95% of our content is from our community. They have done an amazing job setting this thing up. And if you go to like the portals page, you'll get a great overview of what a portal is and how to get one, how to claim your Aavegotchi. And we also have like some information about the different rarities of the different traits. And here's how we are calculating how much of the Aave A token collateral is required. Because if you have a lower rarity score Aavegotchi, it actually requires less collateral. But as your rarity score increases, the amount of collateral required also increases with it. So that's one page. We have great memes. We have the best memes. And talked earlier about, let's go to the wearables page. I can show off the wearables. Wearables are a super important part of Aavegotchi, and as you can see here, we have different types. We have these, we have the quantities here, and then we kind of get into all the different wearables that have been created already. And over here is where you can see the traits of the wearables. These are the modifiers. So when you equip this wearable, it's going to give you a modifier. So like if you equip a link cube onto your Aavegotchi, it gives you +6 to your brain size. But if let's scroll down here, we have an Aava boat, very nice boat.
Daniel, sorry, I don't think you are on the right sheet. I'm still looking at the questions PDF.
Oh, are you? Oh, you can't see. You can't see the.
I can't see the page. No.
Okay, that's unfortunate. All right. Well, I will see if I can fix that. I don't really know. Maybe I'll share another page.
Yeah, sometimes like when you share a static page, it's difficult to switch screens.
Right, how about
There
now?
we go, perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
perfect.
So yeah, we have the link cube here. I was saying if you equip the link cube, you'll get +6 to your brain size. And if you have like already have a high brain Aavegotchi, equipping that would make your Aavegotchi more rare. And likewise, if you have, go down here to the boat, if you equip the boat, it will lower your aggressiveness by 6 because the Aava, the Aava fam is so friendly. So when you equip the Aava boat, your aggressiveness goes down by 6. And again, having lower traits is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing to be low. Like 0 is the lowest you can have when you first get an Aavegotchi. So here's a bunch of other wearables we have. We have these are our summoner set that we have of my Coder Dan shades. We have the Mudge and Diamond, Golden Cross robe, and the Zbot Mohawk. Then we have a Vitalik theme. We have a llama corn shirt. We have a galaxy brain. Gives you brain +6, of course. Then we have just a bunch of other cool wearables. So fashion is super important in Aavegotchi, and we're really excited to see what kind of apps people can build around this type of like virtual fashion, and you know, just excited to see what the potential will be. So I don't think we have any questions, but Nick, would you like to add anything, I guess, before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's good. Yeah.
Cool. I guess we do have a DAO,
Cool.
and maybe real quick, though, just if anyone is interested in making tools for Aavegotchi, there is a lot of stuff that can be done as well for that. We have a DAO, and we have lots of votes on that. We're going to be doing more and more voting as we launch on Matic, because voting won't cost anything. So there's also some cool tooling that we could do with analytics, and also like helping out with making the DAO smoother for everyone to use. So I guess finally, where to hang out. Let me switch back to the PowerPoint here real quick. Yeah, here it is. No. Anyway, what do you guys? Are you guys viewing the? How about now? There we go. So our official GitHub is here. Aavegotchi /Aavegotchi contracts. The wiki that we were just looking at, wiki.aavegotchi.com. Twitter, twitter.com/Aavegotchi. And our website is live on aavegotchi.com. And also didn't include it, but we have a docs.aavegotchi.com that has quite a bit of developer documentation as well. So it's pretty
Cool.
much,
Thanks, Nick.
it.
Thanks, Daniel. That was really great. It would be cool if you could share these slides in the sponsor Aavegotchi channel, so everybody has access to that. And I see you've got a couple questions in the chat here. I'm not sure if you want to read them, or I could read them to you. Either way.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh yeah, we do have. Yeah, is Aavegotchi on Gitcoin? I don't think we are. No, we didn't really participate in the. If you mean for like the Gitcoin round, or do you mean just more for developer like bounties and things like that? Yeah. How do you stop playing the system? So actually, we okay, dev bounties. Currently no, but it is something we are interested in doing, having more developer bounties. Currently, if you're interested in working on Aavegotchi, definitely let us know, and we can maybe work something out, or definitely make a cool hack and get our attention that way. As far as automated interactions, it's really something you can't fight against, and we've kind of just embraced it. One of the hacks that we think would kind of be cool is, instead of actually having people manually interact with their Aavegotchis every day, there could be automated interactors that kind of interact in a way with a lot of Aavegotchis at a time, and people could actually, there's a way that you can delegate your Aavegotchi to be included in that interaction pool, basically every 12 hours. So because we are on Matic, there's basically no expense for doing that. And I think it would be, it could be a cool dApp that someone could create around it. And just because there is that mechanism does not mean that kinship is like moot, because there's other ways as well that you can increase your kinship.
Yeah, we need some good names for that, like a playpen or something, you know, like we have a group of things that are all kind of handled together.
Yeah, well, I like the analogy of the dog walker. So like someone managing a bunch of Aavegotchis and like petting them and just having a good time. So
cool.
I didn't mention our Discord. Our Discord is, I don't know if I have a link for it here, but if you just go on the Twitter, you'll see our link to our Discord, and there are some channels for the developers as well in the Discord. So definitely go over there and say hi, and you can start asking us any questions. We're also in the Aavegotchi sponsor in the Ethereum hackers group as well. So come on over and say hello, and we can start helping you get set up to hack on Aavegotchi.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask any questions, you're also more than welcome to. Gawain, I think you raised your hand there, so feel free to unmute and ask your questions.
Hey guys, I actually am very interested in the Aavegotchi ecosystem. I'm working from a music angle and brands. So I know the potential in what you guys are just speaking of, especially with the kind of Aavegotchi pools and whatnot. So definitely kind of trying to figure out how to integrate, from my side to you guys into you guys' ecosystem. I got a picture, but I don't have a full picture of it. So.
Okay, so like music, are you talking like from an NFT perspective? Like you have
So
like an NFT.
So if each independent creative had an Aavegotchi of their own, but they can only get an Aavegotchi based on their level of metrics within my platform. So once they reach that level to be able to obtain their own personal Aavegotchi, the fans can then purchase that Aavegotchi and use that Aavegotchi or whatnot, or brands can partner up with the independent artists and do collaborative rare Aavegotchis and so forth.
Right.
So kind of just trying to see how I can make that come to life.
Yeah, I think for currently, like Aavegotchis have been kind of their own brand, or we haven't really done any big partnerships with brands for the Aavegotchi itself, because we kind of view the Aavegotchi as a vessel, and it can hold a lot of different NFTs inside it. So our main partnership right now has been with the wearables, like I was showing off the Link Cube, the Aaveboat. We're going to be doing some more wearables pretty soon, like on Matic with them as well. So I can see we also have like an artist program where the community can actually create their own wearables and like submit them, and they can be added to the Aavegotchi shop as well. So there's definitely some areas where you could get involved with like giving rare wearables away to your community. That could be definitely something that works.
Sounds good. Yep. Because I was thinking if Pepsi was one of the brands, and Pepsi's like, hey, we got this new consumable or whatnot, what I'm saying? And then, or like the Travis Scott McDonald's collaboration, what I'm saying? Things like that that could be created with these type of NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. That would be super cool. Like, I think we even already have like a Pepsi. I think maybe it's either Pepsi or Coke, like a can.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking that would be cool. And then from a perspective from all the brands and music side would be we could create our own festivals. So brands would sponsor those festivals. Creators, independent creators would have their Aavegotchis maybe performing, and obviously you have your fans and whatnot. And then there's ticket staking involved and things like that as well. So things like that are what I'm kind of thinking on.
Yeah, that sounds like, I mean, we're going to be making a whole world around these Aavegotchis. That's kind of like phase 2. Once we've launched on Matic, and we're going to be building the next phase is making a whole metaverse around them. And there's going to be a lot of cool things that we'll be able to do once we have like side views of the Aavegotchis. They can walk around, they can like emote and do cool things like that. So totally. Aavegotchi concerts would be super neat. Yeah, definitely look for, definitely we can chat more about that. Definitely hit us up. Someone was asking about the A tokens. We're actually, Nick can talk real quick about that. We're making great headway on moving A tokens from mainnet over to Matic.
Yeah, that's right. We have built an A token bridge from Ethereum to Matic and Matic back to Ethereum, and now and we're currently testing it. The A tokens on Matic are going to be called MA tokens, M for Matic, so like Ma tokens or Ma tokens. So we have that, and we're going to hook that up to a user interface so people can send the A tokens over. And there's going to be more details about that, which we'll write about and we'll publish how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think it's the first time anyone's moved A tokens onto layer 2. Very exciting. And
yeah,
where are the resources saved? Everything is on chain. Everything with Aavegotchi is saved on chain. So all the SVGs are saved in the blockchain. And to get it, all you need to do is just there's a function that we are showing up here, which is to get Aavegotchi SVG. That'll fetch all the SVG with all the different wearables equipped, and it'll give you that output that you can then do whatever you want with.
Sorry, can I ask a bit follow-up question that MAT token Nick just mentioned?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, you cross the A token through bridge, right? And Aave is smart enough to, so like if you, the interest part, does it goes to the bridge or does it goes to the EOA or whatever the user account?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what's going to happen is when you move the A tokens over, it's going to lock the A tokens in the contract on the Ethereum side, and it's going to mint new tokens on the Matic side. And the new tokens on Matic are going to they're not going to be, instead of increasing in quantity, like going from 10 to 11 to 12, they're just going to say they're fixed number. So if it's so it'll be like 10 on Matic, but that token value will increase, like it's become more valuable over time, because what happens is that when you take that fixed number back over to Ethereum, you'll get your interest. You'll get your original A tokens plus interest. So that's how we're doing it. And so like there's a decentralized exchange on Matic called QuickSwap, which will show the increasing price of your MA tokens on Matic, because they'll increase in price over time because they're increasing in interest on the Ethereum side. Because when you transfer them back to Ethereum, you get your original A tokens plus interest. Does that kind of answer your question a bit how it'll work?
How did you drive the information? Do you just calculate by yourself? Because that information is in the on-chain on the mainnet. Like, can you read the layer 1 state on real time on layer 2?
Yeah, it really has to do with the Aava's protocol, because when we send the when we get the A tokens on mainnet, we do a calculation that gives us a number, and this is just using Aava's protocol. We do this calculation that gives us a number, we send it over, and then when we send it back, Aava gives us this number. This is called liquidity index. It gives us a number that we multiply to our number, and it gives us the current A token. You know, that's it works out.
Cool.
But
yeah, thank you.
yeah,
As long as I get
This
I'm cool.
It's very new because this wasn't really possible in Aava v1, and we're using the new v2 methods that they've simplified the developer experience a lot in v2, specifically for this issue, because dealing with the interest can be kind of a pain. So we kind of opted for the compound method, where the balance of the token won't change, but the value will increase over time. But on our actual UI, on the Aavegotchi UIs, you will be able to see both. We're going to be able to query the balance, the current balance on mainnet as well. So we will display your MA token balance, which is your Spirit Force balance on Matic, but we'll also display the value of it, the real underlying value of it on the UI for mainnet as well.
And sorry, final follow-up. So you're doing that all based on the on-chain information on Matic, or do you substitute with some other information like graph or anything?
Yeah, so we're only using the data on chain. We're using the on-chain data from Aava on their contracts, and yeah, so we're just reading off the chain. We're not using like oracles or like reading something from the graph or anything like that.
I see. That's very cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone asked, what is our core team size? Well, currently there are 4 summoners. So that's myself. We have Nick Mudge. We have Zbot is our core artist, and then Jesse Golden Cross is kind of our product lead. So those are our 4 core team summoners. But we also have lots and lots of very engaged community members who are really, they've helped out so much. We have our apprentices, we have our artists, we have our assistants, we have and these are all AA. So there's like the apprentice, the artist, and for you guys, we have a new role that we've created, which is the architects. That's basically an Aavegotchi developer is going to be an architect. So if you join the Discord and you say hi in the dev chat, then you'll get that architect role as well. Kind of be invited into that circle. Cool. I think that's pretty much wraps it up. It's been about an hour, and I'm in Asia time, so I will be going to bed pretty much right after this. But Nick will be around. He's US time, so feel free to go and hit him up, chat Aavegotchi with him.
Yep, I'm Mudge on like Telegram and Discord. So. Mudge in.
Great. Thanks so much, Nick and Daniel. Really appreciate you taking this session. It was great. And thanks so much to the hackers for joining and some great questions coming in. If you have any more questions or want to follow up with the Aavegotchi team, the sponsor Aavegotchi channel in Discord is available. And yeah, thanks everyone. Have a great day.